Federal politics has never been more fascinating, with more at stake than ever before. From the trade war to border security, on my panel today to discuss, former Liberal strategist Amanda Alvaro and Conservative strategist Amanda Galbraith. All right, let's begin with trade talks. We can now confirm, Doug Ford's confirming it as well, that Mark Carney is holding trade talks, some are calling them secret trade talks, with Donald Trump. Is this giving you any hope or optimism, and are you surprised that they're having these conversations?
Well, I mean, listen, we learned today that they're happening. So we know that the big discussion happened in the Oval Office. Now we know that more discussions have been happening. And I think it shouldn't be taken as surprise. I think people should be feeling good about that. We want these discussions to be taking place. We understand that they're talking about everything from fentanyl to the border crossing to energy to defense spending, and hopefully getting a little closer to a deal.
Some are saying that a deal is imminent, Amanda.
Yeah, I'm hearing they want to get this done, or at least some sort of communique out of the way before the G7 next week, which I think makes a lot of political sense. I also think, candidly, this is what Canadians elected the Prime Minister to do, right? He has a mandate to fix this, and him delivering on something like this in short order would, I think, be a pretty big win for that government. What I think we need to do is temper things a little bit. I don't know if there's going to be an aluminum solution in that deal. Right. I'm hearing the digital service tax is not a part of that, and it may not be a full trade deal so much as a overview like we saw out of the UK. But anything, I think, that restores consumer confidence is going to be a good thing for the country and a good thing for the economy.
Definitely, because just this week, 50% tariffs went up on aluminum and steel going into the U.S. That's not a good sign when supposedly they're talking. And then there's the word taco. Trump always chickens out. That's been his nickname. He's very upset about that. Is that going to hurt us more than help?
I think it's a challenge, right? They, with anything, I think half of the international incidents arose out of journalists asking, well-meaning questions, but questions about, is Canada still the 51st state? Yes, I think it should be, right? I was just stop asking. Please stop asking.
We can't. It's our jobs.
I know, but sometimes I'm like, shh. So do I think the taco thing, taunting him like that or asking those questions or putting that in his face in the middle of a trade negotiation between us, not ideal. Obviously can be overcome, because I think the people doing this will do that, but it's not helpful for sure.
Do you think Carney's the grown-up in the room, and at least that will be a calmer presence?
I do think he's the grown-up in the room. I do think the taco comments, well-meaning, I think that those taunts have very unintentional consequences. We know that the knee-jerk reactions from Trump happen consistently, they happen steadily. So what he does with a comment like that, you called me chicken? Let me show you how I'm not chicken. And while we're in the middle of a negotiation between Canada and U.S., we understand Mexico's not involved, and this is a critical time for us. So we want him to be in the best possible headspace to have these critical conversations.
Absolutely. Border security. So the federal government has introduced a new bill, and it's tougher on asylum seekers, tougher on immigration, and it's also going to be able to give the power to have people open your mail without your consent, without a warrant, be able to look at your online activities. Do you think it's going too far, or is Carney doing this just to appease Trump in this moment?
I mean, I understand as part of this is, yes, to take some issues off the table during these negotiations and the things the administration has viewed as an irritant. But if you look at the substance of this bill, whoa, boy, I mean, it goes far. And most of the stuff I get in the mail is not very material, it's things I throw out. But the idea that a rando Canada Post employee who may or may not be showing up to work on the weekend can rifle through my mail, makes me uncomfortable. The idea that government officials can monitor and without warrant, I think all of those things are deeply problematic. My guess is this gets challenged almost immediately, as it should be, by civil liberties associations. I think I believe it's a bridge too far.
Well, I think that there's a few things underway. I think that there's obviously this serious negotiation with Trump, and they're talking about everything from the border crossing, fentanyl trafficking, how do we rein in some of those things. And at the same time, we're dealing with our own law enforcement asking for expanded powers, the Coast Guard, Canada Border Services. Only 1% of goods that come over the border on our side are being searched right now. So, I think there's limits to that. We're keeping Canadians safe, while at the same time we have to protect Canadians' privacy under the Charter of Rights. And I think that the government can strike that balance.
but maybe not exactly as is right now. It may have
not
to be
exactly
tinkered
as
with
is.
a fair
I
bit.
mean, we could just resource our port searching a little more properly and have a bit more. I mean,
could.
I know, and I know they're increasing, border services. I think 100, whatever.
Yep.
They're adding more bodies to that. But at the end of the day, the reason 1% gets searched is because we don't have anybody managing the ports. It's a disaster in this country.
Because of a lot of cutbacks.
Yeah,
over the
cutback.
years.
Well, cutbacks. I think we
it was
haven't
never
paid any
boosted up.
attention to it. We do have an organized crime issue in this country. I mean, we can only look at the shootings that happened recently in the trucking industry. So I do think some of this stuff in this bill is smart, but to me it goes too far, and maybe that's the design, right? Take it too far, be known to be
Rein it
tough,
back
and
in.
we'll rein it back in.
Let's talk about Pierre Poilievre. A recent poll this week found that his
My
support...
favorite topic.
She's laughing.
You both are.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, a recent Nanos poll found that support for him has dropped some 13%. Are Conservatives concerned about this, or are they just thinking, it's just Mark Carney's honeymoon, nothing to worry about, he'll bounce back?
I know, man. Are Conservatives concerned about that?
I mean, they should be.
I am not concerned about it. I'm unsurprised, right? We have a new government in place. They're going to get a honeymoon bounce. Carney has come out of the gates of Prime Minister roaring, setting expectations sky high, which so far hasn't hit him yet or bounced back. I do think in the fall, or even in July, when we're not delivering on free trade across the country isn't a thing. Even
July 1, let's see how that's going to go.
Yeah, we saw First Minister's meeting. There's supposed to be a list of 5 projects. There were no list, but everybody was so happy they didn't seem to care. So I think at some point that is going to hit, and we'll see a stabilizing of reputation, but I'm not surprised it's gone down a little bit. I expect it will bounce. He's also not in the public eye. He's basically stepped back, spending time with his family, recalibrating.
Well, he doesn't have a seat, so he can't be in...
I mean, yeah, indeed, which is a challenge.
That's a big challenge.
Which is a challenge that'll be rectified in the fall. So I'm not concerned. It's pretty normal. This has happened before when Conservative leaders have lost and stuck around. It just, how they recalibrate and how they reposition themselves going forward is going to be important.
Is he going to survive?
I've heard no rumblings whatsoever.
Because we know Conservatives love to
bring
out the knives.
And I've been the first one to flag it for you, and I would tell you, Cynthia, you know that. I've heard no rumblings whatsoever. Are people upset about the election loss? Yes, for sure. Is there a lot of inward looking around that? How do we reposition ourselves? How do we leverage the front bench that have been elected? The Shuv has come out a lot more. Melissa Landsman being a bit more forward-facing. Adam Chambers, we've seen do some interviews, all real stars in the Conservative Party. So I think, but is there anyone gunning for Pierre Poilievre? No, not at all.
But I would say that, there's a couple of things that would be really concerning about this poll at this particular time. This is a positioning exercise. Is there somebody in the wings who's really interested in that job? The poll comes out at this time. There's a by-election that he's going to have to win in the next several months. So he doesn't want to see these numbers down in the gutter, and potentially a leadership review. And what does that leadership review look like when you have polls that suggest that you've really lost popularity and favorability? I think that those are big challenges, especially for a party that's known to be a bit of one and done, right? Are there people in the wings? I think that there are solidly individuals in the wings, and we know that there's also some Ontario Conservatives that wouldn't mind finding a new girl or guy to take that role.
Well, we can name names, but on that note, I'm afraid we're out of time, so we'll save that for the next time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Thanks.